There are moments in life when it feels like we've reached a dead end. Have you ever felt that way? As if every door were closed, every option exhausted, and silence was the only answer the world had to offer. In those times, it's common to feel small, powerless, as if all our efforts were in vain. But it's precisely at that point when our strength runs out, that God's power begins to manifest in extraordinary ways. Imagine a farmer who, after months of hard work, sees his crops threatened by an unexpected drought. He did everything right, prepared the soil, chose the best seeds, cared for them with dedication. Even so, nature, unpredictable as it is, brought a challenge. That's how life often is for us. We plan, we strive, we give our best, but some things remain beyond our control, and that's where faith comes in. Trusting in a God who sees far beyond what we can see. God doesn't expect us to be perfect or to have all the answers. What He desires is that we recognize our dependence on Him. When we admit our limitations and hand over our worries to Him, we make room for His grace to work in our lives. It's like a child who, unable to reach something, asks their father for help. The father responds with love, not because the child is incapable, but because he wants to strengthen the bond of trust between them. The Bible is full of examples of people who, in moments of despair, found their solution in God. Moses, standing before the Red Sea, witnessed the impossible become reality. David, a young shepherd, defeated a giant with just a single stone. These are not just ancient stories. They are testimonies of what God can do when we put our trust in Him. So if you're facing a difficult time, remember this. What feels like the end of the road for you may be just the beginning for God. Surrender your worries. Trust in His provision and let Him transform your situation. Sometimes we're so caught up in our routines and our silent battles that we hardly realize how much our story can change with a single touch from God. One detail changes everything. What once seemed irreversible suddenly finds a way out. What used to keep us up at night becomes a reason for gratitude, and what looked like loss is revealed to be deliverance. Because the way God writes is different. He doesn't write with ink, but with purpose. And even when we don't understand, He's working behind the scenes. Take the example of a woman who lost everything in a fire: her home, her furniture, her memories. Everything turned to ashes. For days she cried, feeling empty, as if her life had burned along with her belongings. But months later, that loss forced her to move to a new city. In that city, she met people who supported her, found a much better job, and rediscovered the faith she had left behind. She says, "I thought I was being punished, but I was actually being guided." That's how God works. Mysteriously, unexpectedly, and always with love. It's common for us to resist change, especially when it comes through pain. But God, with His eternal perspective, sees what we cannot. While we cling to what we know, He invites us to trust in the unseen, to walk by faith, not by sight. And when we accept that invitation, we're met with miracles that defy human logic. Joseph of Egypt lived this firsthand. Sold by his brothers, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. To human eyes, it looked like God had abandoned him. But what no one could see was that every part of his pain was connected to His purpose. Joseph had to go through all that to be ready to lead a nation. The process was painful, but the purpose was powerful. And maybe you're living through your own Egypt right now, a place full of questions with no answers. But God is forming something in you. Don't give up. There are moments when we see no signs, hear no answers, and everything feels stuck. But that's when faith proves itself real. Faith isn't feeling like everything will work out. It's choosing to believe even when you feel nothing. It's staying, even when you're tired. It's praying, even when your voice breaks. Because those who trust, keep going. Those who believe, keep walking. And those who persevere, see the glory of God revealed. You are not forgotten. You may be living through a silent season where God feels distant. But know this, heaven is not silent, even when we don't hear anything. And sometimes the greatest act of God's love is teaching us to wait, to trust without seeing, to to grow in the midst of apparent absence. And it's right at this point in the journey that I want to ask you something different. If this video spoke to you, if at any moment it felt like these words were written just for you, then subscribe to the channel, but not out of habit. Subscribe if you feel like you want to walk with us, if you want to be part of something bigger and more than that. Leave a comment with something no one else knows. Share a part of your story. It can be small, just a sentence, but let it come from the heart, because this space is made up of real people with real stories, and maybe your story can touch someone else too. Have you noticed how there are days when everything just feels darker? The sky may be clear outside, but inside clouds are forming. Maybe it's worry about the future, missing someone, or the pain of something you can't even explain. But it's on those days that we most need to remember one truth. God's presence never fails. It doesn't depend on our mood, our perfectly worded prayers, or our strength. His presence is constant, steady, even when we don't feel it. Often we seek signs, words, dreams. But sometimes, all he wants is for us to sit in silence and realize, I'm here. I always have been. You might be facing something so heavy right now that you don't even know how to start your prayer. But God understands even the silence of the soul. He hears what we don't say. He knows our tears, even the ones that don't fall. And he keeps loving us, even when we feel unworthy of any love. Think of that woman who had no strength left to fight. She looked in the mirror and saw nothing but failure. She felt too small to pray, too weak to believe. Until one day, without knowing why, she just decided to be thankful. Not for everything, but for being alive, for breathing. And something began to change inside her. It wasn't an instant miracle, it wasn't a dramatic breakthrough, it was a quiet transformation. A rebirth from within. Because gratitude opens doors where hope had already closed the windows. Many people wait to see in order to believe. But with God, it's the other way around. Believe, and then you'll see. Faith isn't a shortcut. It's a path. A path where with each step God reveals a little more of what he's doing. It's not about understanding everything, but about resting in the one who rules over all. And sometimes, all you need to do is take the next step. You don't need to run, you don't need to prove anything to anyone, just keep walking. Pray one more time, try one more time, trust one more time. Because that one more time could be what opens the doors to your new season. Whatever you're going through right now, remember this. You are deeply loved. Not because you're perfect, but because you are his child. God doesn't call you based on what you've done or failed to do. He calls you by name. And even if you've drifted away, he's still right there, with open arms, like a father who never stopped waiting. So now, with your heart open and your faith renewed, I want to make one more invitation. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I warmly invite you to become part of our family. Every video here is made with love, prayer, and purpose. And when you subscribe, you're not just clicking a button. You're saying, I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to walk alongside others who are also hungry for God, and more than that. Tell us in the comments how this video made you feel. What part touched you? Which words felt like they were meant for you? Share your story with the community. You might help someone just by opening up about what you've been through. Because here, every story matters. Every comment can be a seed of healing in someone's life. Don't be afraid to speak. This is a safe space. A place where faith grows in community, and where each person has a role in what God is building. Your testimony, your pain, your breakthrough, it can all be used to change someone else's life. And never forget, even when the world says it's over, God still has the final word, and that word is life. Hope. A new beginning. Nothing is lost. As long as there is breath, there is a chance. And as long as God is on the throne, and he always will be, there is a way, there is healing, there is a miracle.